Welcome to our lecture on metamorphosis in insects. Imagine growing up, but instead of just getting taller, your entire body completely changes its shape, diet, and lifestyle. Today, we will explore the incredible biological remodeling that insects undergo, the mathematical laws that predict their growth, and the precise chemical signals that orchestrate this magical transformation. To begin, let us understand what metamorphosis actually is. Because insects possess a hard outer shell called an exoskeleton, they cannot grow continuously like humans do. Instead, they must periodically shed this rigid armor to expand. Metamorphosis is defined as the profound and abrupt change in their body structure, physiology, and behavior as they develop from an immature stage into an adult. It is not just a simple growth spurt, but a complete biological remodeling of the organism that allows them to thrive. Now that we know why insects molt, let us look at the different ways they develop. Insects are categorized into three main types based on their transformation. Ametabolous insects undergo no real metamorphosis, just a simple increase in size over time. Hemimetabolous insects experience incomplete metamorphosis, where the young look like tiny adults but lack wings. Finally, holometabolous insects undergo complete metamorphosis, passing through entirely distinct larval, pupal, and adult stages, much like a caterpillar turning into a beautiful butterfly. Focusing on complete metamorphosis, this process is truly remarkable. During the pupal stage, the insect's larval tissues are almost entirely broken down into a nutrient-rich soup. From this, entirely new adult structures are built, using special clusters of cells known as imaginal discs. These discs have been waiting inside the larva since it hatched, ready to construct the wings, legs, and eyes of the adult. It is a complete architectural redesign of the organism from the ground up, creating a totally new body plan. You might wonder why insects invest so much energy into such a complex process. The primary evolutionary advantage is the elimination of competition. Because a leaf-eating caterpillar and a nectar-drinking butterfly rely on completely different food sources and habitats, they do not compete with each other. Additionally, the dormant pupal stage allows the insect to survive harsh environmental conditions, like freezing winters. Understanding this is also vital for agriculture, as many pesticides are designed to disrupt this exact process. While metamorphosis is a biological marvel, the physical growth of the insect between these molting events follows strict mathematical rules. Because of their rigid exoskeleton, insects do not grow smoothly. They grow in discrete steps, which we call instars. A scientist named H.G. Dyer discovered that the linear dimensions of an insect's hard parts, such as its head capsule, increase by a constant ratio at each molt. This geometric progression is known as Dyer's law, and it is incredibly useful. This brings us to the mathematical representation of this growth, Dyer's law. The formula is Wn equals W0 times r to the power of n. Conceptually, this means every time an insect molts, its size multiplies by a fixed percentage. Wn is the width of the head capsule at the nth instar. W0 is the initial baseline width when the insect first hatches. The variable r is Dyer's constant, the specific growth ratio for that species, and n is the number of molts. If the growth ratio r is larger, the insect reaches its adult size in fewer molts, whereas a smaller ratio means more molting stages are required. Let us see this formula in action with a concrete example. We're given a newly hatched caterpillar with an initial head width of 0.5 millimeters, a growth ratio of 1.4, and we want to find its size after 3 molts. We chose Dyer's law because it perfectly models this geometric growth. We substitute our values into the equation. Following the order of operations, we first calculate 1.4 to the 3rd power, which gives us a total growth multiplier of 2.744. Multiplying this by our starting size of 0.5 yields 1.372. This means by the 3rd instar, the caterpillar's head capsule will be exactly 1.372 millimeters wide. Now, let us look at a scenario from the field. An agricultural scientist finds a first instar caterpillar with a head width of 0.4 millimeters and a later one that has undergone 2 molts with a width of 0.625 millimeters. We need to find the growth ratio. We set up our equation with the known values. To isolate the unknown ratio r, we divide the final width by the initial width, giving us r squared equals 1.5625. This is the growth over 2 molts. To find the ratio for a single molt, we take the square root. The result is 1.25, meaning the insect grows by exactly 25% with every single molt. Now that we understand how insects grow physically, we must ask how the insect's body knows when to molt. The answer lies in a beautiful and precise chemical signaling system. It begins in the brain, which releases prothoracicotropic hormone, or PTTH. Think of PTTH as the master trigger. It travels to a specific gland called the prothoracic gland and stimulates it to release ecdysone. Ecdysone is the actual molting hormone. Whenever it floods into the insect's blood, the insect is biologically forced to shed its skin and grow. While ecdysone tells the insect that it must molt, another chemical tells it what it should turn into. This is controlled by a 3rd chemical called juvenile hormone. As long as juvenile hormone levels remain high in the blood, ecdysone will only cause the insect to molt into a larger larva. It keeps the insect in its juvenile state. When the insect is large enough, juvenile hormone levels drop slightly, and the next molt creates a pupa. Finally, when juvenile hormone is completely absent, ecdysone triggers the final magnificent transformation into a fully formed adult. Let us visualize this chemical orchestration. At the top of this diagram, you can see the neurosecretory cells in the brain releasing PTTH, which stimulates the prothoracic gland to produce ecdysone. On the right, the corpus allatum produces juvenile hormone. Look at the 3 pathways below. In the first pathway, high levels of juvenile hormone combined with ecdysone lead straight to another larval stage. In the second pathway, as juvenile hormone drops to a low level, the combination creates a pupa. Finally, in the 3rd pathway, the complete absence of juvenile hormone allows ecdysone to drive the development of the adult butterfly. This simple balance controls the entire life cycle. To summarize our lecture, metamorphosis is a profound biological remodeling that allows insects to overcome the limitations of a rigid exoskeleton. We learned that complete metamorphosis provides massive evolutionary advantages by eliminating competition between young and adults. We also saw that their physical growth occurs in discrete, mathematically predictable steps governed by Dyer's law. Finally, this entire complex process is masterfully orchestrated by the precise balance of 3 hormones: PTTH, ecdysone, and juvenile hormone. You now understand the exact physical and chemical rules that govern this incredible transformation in nature.